From WFRV TV Local 5, this is Nicolay National Bank's Sports Extra with Local 5 Sports Director Bert Griffin.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Extra. We'll get to the highlights from Week 13 in the NFL, but clearly the story of the night, the firing of head coach Mike McCarthy. Joining me in studio to talk about that, Lily Zhao and Ryan Rodig. Are you guys as surprised as I was, or is it not a shock at all? Given what's happened.
I was surprised because, you know, knowing this organization, if it was under Ted Thompson per se, I feel like it would have been something that they would have done after the season was over, like they've traditionally done. But, I mean, I think it was a good move because you're not letting him hang around, just kind of asking every single week, do you think you're going to be the head coach or not? But I think it was a surprising move, though. But it kind of lets him and the Packers just move on, kind of with no strings attached, kind of.
And you got 4 games left in the season. Technically still part of the playoff race, but let's be a realist here. They are now down in that 11th spot. Tons of teams to leapfrog. It doesn't look good. Ryan, we were all part of the process, not technically over there, but we saw it happen last year with Ted. Brian takes over. Gutekunst makes some changes. He jumps into free agency. But the power structure, are you surprised with the way things happen with Mark Murphy at the top? And then there's some reports out tonight that it was maybe both of them, or is it all Mark?
At this point, I think we're all kind of left to wonder. It'll be interesting when Mark Murphy decides to talk to the media tomorrow, because we'll find out a lot more then. However, those reports saying that he and Brian Gutekunst made the decision lets you believe that maybe Brian's getting a little bit of slack now. Maybe he'll have some hiring and firing power. It'll be interesting to see how much rope he has with that. But I think we can say one thing for sure. He'll definitely be a huge part of the discovery moving forward for the next head coach.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a good decision back then, and right now we kind of see it come to fruition, the way it was all set up.
Too many cooks in the kitchen comes to mind.
Well, Ron Wolf said it best. If I'm going to run the football operations, I'm the one in charge. I do all the hiring and firing. All right, some of the numbers from the Mike McCarthy era. Look, he was a proven winner. He even said it in his press conference. I don't remember the exact quote, but I'm a proven winner in the NFL. 125 victories, 77 losses, a pair of ties. 10-8 in the playoffs. Of course, that Super Bowl 45 run after the 2010 season where they went on the road. But as of late, we saw a couple of NFC Championship game losses, not only against the Falcons, but that meltdown in Seattle against the Seahawks. There was the one with Brett Favre against the Giants here. That was early on. That was the end. That was the last game for Favre in Lambeau Field, at least as a Green Bay Packer. Came back, of course, as a Viking, and we all know how that story went. Now, in the interim, Lily, Joe Philbin, he'll take over, but since he's kind of a McCarthy guy, is he in a lame duck spot?
I think so, because I feel like during the season, the progression of the season, you're kind of wondering, yeah, they brought on Joe Philbin, but what really impact has he had on this offense? And if you're kind of looking at it, I feel like it's kind of a two-person offense. It's Mike McCarthy calling the plays and Aaron Rodgers maybe calling the plays and executing the plays. But, you know, I feel like with Joe Philbin, though, he obviously was the head coach for the Miami Dolphins from 2012 to 2015, had a losing season record there, so he was obviously fired earlier in the 2015 season. But I do feel like he's in that lame duck situation. I do feel like they're going to bring somebody else in from the outside to.
Well, and this could affect the entire coaching staff as a whole, both sides of the football. Mike Pettin, they bring him in to regroup and run the defense, and we've seen spurts this year where they've played very well, but they also seem to have those same issues. They're not taking away the football the way they did during the Dom Capers era. So do they stay? We'll find out about that. I mean, maybe the new coach gets along with Pettin, but whoever it is, it's got to be somebody that can deal with both personalities.
Yeah, starting with Pettin, after he took a bit of a sabbatical from the NFL after that tenure in Cleveland, I felt like he came back here and he was refreshed and he liked being in his role. He made mention that he wasn't in a hurry to do a great job for one season and then go to the next head coaching opportunity. So I think maybe after stepping away from that main man, that hot seat, I think maybe he's a guy that will probably stick around if they want him to stick around. And I think we all feel like he's done a pretty good job with the personnel he's been given to have that opportunity. But as far as when you're looking for the next coaching candidates, you got to wonder, what are they going to prioritize? Do they want a new, fresh mind? Do they want someone who's been around? When you think of guys that have been around, Bruce Arians out there, he's won a Super Bowl as a coordinator. Gary Kubiak has also won Super Bowls as a coordinator. Remember 1997, right? And those are options, but you always look at college too. You look at, you know, guys like, I mean, Cliff Kingsbury is getting offensive coordinator at least looks. But I think the big name from college is going to be Lincoln Riley, the Oklahoma head coach. He's already getting a lot of looks in the NFL.
Well, one landing spot for Mike McCarthy, and it's a real easy one to look at and figure out, Lily.
Yep.
Cleveland. Hugh Jackson gets fired. You got John Dorsey there. Elliott Wolf is over there. Alonzo Highsmith. Plenty of people that are familiar with McCarthy, but we don't know what their relationship really was like either.
Yeah, we don't really know if they got along or, if they got along, but I don't know. And it's Green Bay East for a reason, so it would kind of make sense if he was brought over there. It'd be interesting to see where he will end up, because I know we were kind of talking about it earlier, but it just feels like Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy, they need a break. It's kind of like that situation with Andy Reid where these guys do need a break from each other, because we saw what he did with the Chiefs right now, and he's kind of killing it there with Patrick Mahomes. So it's kind of the same situation with Mike McCarthy. If he gets picked up somewhere else and just has future success, it's just best for both parties.
Well, it would be great to be a fly on the wall of some of those film sessions and really know how many plays Mike McCarthy called and to what degree Aaron Rodgers continually switched them to audibles that he liked. Was there infighting? We don't know where that disconnect happened, but clearly this offense isn't the same as it used to be. And is it strictly a depth issue? Do they have as much talent as they've had in the past? We saw wide receivers Geronimo Allison and Randall Cobb miss a good chunk of the season. They had to go with some rookies this year, and that changes things.
You remember that Sports Illustrated cover they had with Aaron Rodgers and all of his weapons?
Yeah, that was a good
Michael
one.
Finley, Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson,
James Jones.
Only one Super Bowl, though.
Only one Super Bowl from
Sadly.
that group, but a lot of offensive records fell, a lot of talent. Yeah, I think it's fair to say they haven't had the same amount of talent on this year's team. And I think it's also fair to say that there's been a disconnect between the head coach, play caller, and his quarterback for some time. And Aaron Rodgers has not outwardly come out and said, Mike should stay here and be the head coach. And I think that's the most telling thing.
Well, and also, Aaron Rodgers became the highest paid player in football this year with the biggest contract ever.
So he's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. So if that was the issue, that's clearly how it played out. I remember, ironically, 1999, I've been here that long, guys. Ray Rhodes got fired. At the time, Mike McCarthy was on the staff as the quarterback's coach. I met him out that night. Afterward, I had chatted quite a bit. It was late in the evening, and I asked him what he was going to do next. He said, I'm going to go to the Senior Bowl, look at the college kids, and basically network for a job. I don't think he's going to have to look that far this time. If he doesn't want to work, he can just hang out in Green Bay and do what he wants to for a while.
Pay him for another year.
Get a couple Sundays off.
He's got family. Maybe he could be offensive coordinator for the Badgers.
It's just kind of crazy to think that he got that one-year extension just a while ago.
That's right.
Pat Cerrone and Dan McCarty might want him. Who knows?
Yeah.
He could volunteer his time over there. Lily Zhao and Ryan Roding, appreciate you sticking around late tonight to break it all down. The firing of head coach Mike McCarthy.